The story begins with a young boy named Nozomu who lays beneath a tree during the summer of his second year in middle school. He reflects on how he is spending his vacation at his uncle's house in the countryside and thinks about how boring it might be, but reassures himself that at least it will be carefree and laid back. Just then, he wears a pouty expression as he remembers how he was initially excited for this trip until he meets his troublesome cousin. Suddenly, a girl appears to be pinning him down playfully. She refers to him as Nozomu Ni-chan. With excitement, she exclaims that she found rhinoceros beetles and mentions that there are plenty up in the tree. She insists on borrowing his net, and as she moves, Nozomu follows closely behind, stating that his uncle wants him to watch over her. He remembers recently telling her to stop bothering him but feels compelled to keep an eye on her. She confidently declares that she climbed the tree to prove herself, and he thinks about how that is the why he was told to keep watch on her. Noticing her brash attitude, he contemplates that he is the closest in age to her, and he wonders if that's really a good thing. She asks him how he plans to help her from below. He sarcastically asks if she is not satisfied until she attacks him. She gibbles and replies that she finds his reactions amusing, and he feels a strange mix of irritation and amusement. When they finally return home, they walk inside. Sao-chan's dad greets them warmly, asking if they caught anything big. Sao-chan replies that they only caught average bugs. Nozomu nods along, feeling somewhat embarrassed. As Su-chan dismisses the moment, she playfully climbs onto Nozomu's back, which surprises him. Her dad calls out that she should get off him. She cheekily insists that Nozomu refuses to touch any bugs. Nozomu, feeling cornered, shrugs and explains that he has never touched bugs before. Sao-chan's dad responds with understanding, explaining that Nozomu has never gone bug hunting, and Nozomu thinks about how troublesome it'll be if he can't make her recognize that he is older. He doubts how long he can survive this situation. Sao-chan suddenly hugs him tightly and falls onto the sofa. He says that he can't breathe. Her laughter fills the room, and her dad, nervous as well, apologizes to him for the chaos. Nozomu courteously claims that it's fine, however, his face says otherwise. Then Nozomu ponders how to regain control of the situation. He suggests helping her with her homework, asking if she has any assignments due. She quickly agrees, her excitement evident as she seems to have remembered something, and tugs at his hand, driving him upstairs. The dad is just left facepalming, feeling a little uneasy about Sue's antics. When they reach her room, she pulls out some cards, declaring they are going to play a game. Nozomu finds the randomness amusing, pondering how he might win this psychological battle to assert his dominance. He observes Sao-chan's expressive face, knowing she cannot hide her emotions. As he grins at her, she curiously asks what's so funny, and he suddenly finds her grip on his hands a little too warm. She teases him about the old maid card he might be holding, claiming it could be sweeter. He finds her comments puzzling and thinks she's wasting her time with such silly ideas, but she insists on squeezing his hands tighter. In that moment, he feels that Sao-chan is so warm, but quickly dismisses the thought. Suddenly, she declares that this is the first time a boy has been in her room, and he wonders why she brings that up now. She concludes that she wasn't wasting her time after all, and he feels the need to calm down, assuring himself that he has no ulterior motives regarding her, but knows this game doesn't work well with just two players. Trying to focus, he suggests they play a different game designed for two people. She eagerly agrees, and he tries to keep his mind on winning rather than getting distracted. In a moment of triumph, he slams his card, cementing his victory. She stumbles backwards, playfully admitting defeat. Watching her struggle brings him joy, and he thinks about how much fun he is having with her. She yells out that she can't beat him, and he wonders what's wrong with being confident about winning a card game, feeling a little childish for getting so excited. She suggests they take a break for now, and he happily agrees because it's dinner time. At the dinner table, she raises an eyebrow and asks what can happen back there, simultaneously saying that the bath is all clear. She looks at him and comments on the pained look etched on her face again. A teasing smile appears on her lips as she inquires if he was hoping to take a bath together. He, with tears welling in his eyes, insists not at all. She pouts as he didn't need to yell. She was only just kidding. He sighs, explaining that just asking such questions makes him look like the bad guy. As she picks up the remote and playfully climbs over him, she declares it's time for that isolated house. He tries to reason with her, gently saying that she should really stop being all clingy like this with boys. Sao-chan angrily responds that there is no way she would do that with the boy. She tells him not to be gross. She kicks him. He then asks what he is if not a boy. She replies that Nozomu Ni-chan is just Nozomu Ni-chan. Nozomu says he doesn't really get it, but he says that he is, and then falls silent. He thinks to himself. He says something like, "I am a guy too right now." It would make it seem like he is very conscious of Sao-chan, and he thinks that's not quite right. Sao-chan says she understands and apologizes, asking if he thinks she is gross for being so clingy with him. Nozomu denies it, saying it is not gross, and he doesn't mind it at all. He even says to come over. He pulls her closer and then suddenly stops and thinks about what he just said and wonders what he meant by it. Sao-chan calls him and he responds happily. She hugs him and tells him she knew that he likes her. Nozomu is shocked and yells in stark denial. She seems astounded as his actions contradict his words. He begins explaining that since she said it was gross, so he wanted her to think that he feels that way. She falls to the ground, holding her head, saying she doesn't get it. Nozomu asks which part she is confused about. They watch TV and see a show called Isolated House. Nozomu ignores him since it's startling. Sao-chan says it's an island today, and that it's rare, so naturally she managed to change the subject. They watch as someone on the TV asks if they are self-sufficient with food, and someone replies, saying the mountain and the sea provide everything they need, and at the base of the mountain, there is plenty of food. Nozomu thinks it's similar to where they are now. Sao-chan brings up his dislike for bugs, then shifts the topic. What about the water? Is that something he hates too? He doesn't feel much either way. She mentions a plan to visit the beach tomorrow. The word lingers in his mind, the beach. She's probably already imagining herself there at ease under the sun, effortlessly showing him up once again. Still, he reminds himself there's no need to rush. He agrees without hesitation, and her voice lights up in response, sealing the plan with a cheerful "let's go." He remarks again that she's on top of him, and she simply reminds him he told her to be. Declaring that she should just watch, he tries to regain some ground, but she only settles in more comfortably, resting her head in his lap. Calmly, she says that even if he doesn't love her now, she'll make him fall for her eventually. The more he learns about her, she promises, the more he'll like her. He asks if this is about the beach, but she falls silent. It leaves him wondering if she was ever really talking about the beach in the first place. Without another word, she gets up, announcing she's going to go tell her dad. Confused, Nozomu asks exactly she plans on telling him. She states plainly that tomorrow she and Nozomu are going to the beach. He fumbles a response, right, of course. Noticing his unease, she questions why he seems so bothered. He brushes it off, but she raises her voice, accusing him of hiding something. He repeats that it's nothing. Just then, her father calls out, telling Nozomu to make sure he takes a bath. She asks if Nozomu would prefer she keep this a secret from her dad. But the timing is wrong since he hears everything and is wondering whether he interrupted them. Panic flashes across Nozomu's face as her father approaches. He gently tells his daughter to give Nozomu some space. She's overwhelming him. Nozomu is slightly relieved, but Sue insists that it was all his idea to begin with. The next day, they head to the beach. The water is clear, and Sao-chan swims freely, calling out to him with a cheerful voice, using the usual Nozomu Nai-chan. She urges him to come in, insisting the water feels amazing. He stays put, shaking his head and saying he's fine, but she just grins and calls him a chicken. Despite being older, he finds himself once again treated like a plaything. She signals to him, holding out her arms as if ready to catch him should he jump in, which only makes him more wary. It feels even more dangerous that way. For some reason, she genuinely seems to believe he likes her. Clearing up that misunderstanding and getting her to show a little respect still feels like a distant goal. She insists it's fun and tries again to coax him in. He tells her he's not used to it like she is. That's when she makes an offer. If he jumps in, she'll grant him one request, no matter what it is. That catches his attention. He starts to imagine it, telling her to treat him with respect from now on, picturing her nodding seriously in response. But then he cuts the thought short. He asks why she wants him to jump so badly. She shrugs, saying she doesn't know, it's just fun. Of course, she probably believes everyone around her exists purely for her amusement. He says he'll circle around from the shore instead, causing her to click her tongue in disappointment. As she dives in deeper, the silence feels eerie, and he begins scanning the water. A moment passes. He calls out, "Sao-chan." There's no response. Panic rises, and without thinking, he dives in. She surfaces a moment later, holding something in her hand, calling out to him to look, something pretty she found in the sea. He rushes to her, grabs her arm, asks if she's okay. She nods, stunned with the urgency in his voice. As he breathes a sigh of relief, she comments that his face looks messy, then jokes that she thought he was coming to save her. She pauses for a moment as the realization starts setting in. He just jumped in now. She laughs and says she understands now, guessing that he must have jumped in thinking she was in trouble. He denies it, but she teasingly asks if he was that worried about her. He shouts that anyone would panic if they thought someone was drowning. She playfully says he must really like her and that he's overreacting. He sighs, saying, "Here they go again." She remarks that she made him mad, and he jumps back into the water. Later, he is comfortable taking plunges in the sea directly. She nods and says, "Nice sea. Once you do it once, it's no big deal." He agrees, albeit a bit reluctantly. Thinking back on it now, she was the same way the first time they met at the beach. He remembers how she used to drag him around, saying they will dive off somewhere next. He protests, asking for a moment to catch his breath, then reflects on how he's been at her mercy since day one. At that moment, Xiao Chan's dad drives a boat and encourages them to enjoy themselves. She looks excitedly at it, asking if he bought it. She climbs in and urges Nozomu-kun to join, but Dad hesitates, saying he doesn't think 3 people will fit. She seems surprised, but her dad then remarks that the boat is smaller than he expected, even though it claimed to fit 3. She then jokes that her dad is taking up too much space, and he apologizes to Nozomu-kun, who insists that it's fine. She dismisses their conversation and cold-heartedly orders her dad to get out of the boat. He climbs out, and they both start rowing, while her dad calls out from behind to be careful not to get washed out to sea. Nozomu comments that he feels bad for Uncle. She casually says it's fine and that her mom will cuddle him later. Nozomu wonders aloud if she understands the pain she is causing him. She simply enjoys the ride, saying they are going pretty fast. He notices how close she is and feels awkward. She calls his name to look at the water below. He peers into the water and sees a school of fish. She excitedly asks if it isn't awesome. He looks at her and sees she is still close. She then proposes that they should come alone next time, making it their little secret. She adds that with her dad around, she can't do everything she wants to do. Nozomu is confused, thinking about what she could possibly want to do without her parents around. She then tries to make a deal with him. He wonders what she is planning to do at the beach. She explains that her parents get mad if she dives deep like she did earlier. She continues, saying it's only because her dad was stung by a jellyfish once. She notices him lost in thought and asks if he is listening. He awkwardly suggests that maybe they shouldn't come alone because it might be too early for that. She asks why, but he explains to himself that it's rough being a boy going through puberty. Nozomu sees the festival grounds and assumes he has arrived early. He decides to wait until they finish setting up and wonders when the last time he heard a festival band was. On the other side, Su-chan is teaching kids karate. She instructs them to be careful, not to hurt themselves, and when a child agrees, she praises him for doing a good job. Nozomu watches her from a distance and comments to himself that Su-chan looking after the kids seems unusual. While placing his bicycle on its stand, he finds it hard to believe what's happening, as Su is generally the type that needs someone looking after her. Su-chan climbs onto his back again, enthusiastically greeting him and asking if he came to watch her. Nozomu, surprised, tells her she startled him. She says he should have told her he was coming. When Su-chan's sweat drops on him, he points it out, telling her to wipe it first. He explains that he only came to pick her up, and she apologizes cheerfully. Meanwhile, the kids watch them in amazement. One girl asks Su-chan if Nozomu is her boyfriend. Hearing this, Nozomu thinks to himself that trouble is coming. He thinks Su-chan is going to playfully admit that he is, praising him and asking the kids if he isn't great, only to quickly laugh later and say she was just kidding. However, she gets off his back and shyly explains that he's a relative. Nozomu notices that she's blushing and another girl insists that Su-chan was hugging him. Su-chan gets defensive, yelling that there's no way she could get a boyfriend, then tells the kids to head home and get ready. Nozomu and Su-chan start heading home together. On the way there, Nozomu brings up tomorrow, checking if it's the actual event. She explains it's just something for the kindergartners, more of a warm-up than the real deal. He realizes it isn't the main performance after all. She adds that their section is scheduled later in fall, meaning he won't be around to see it. He nods quietly, and she tugs lightly at his shirt, wishing he could stay. Then with a shift in mood, she shows off her dress with a proud smile, asking if it looks good. He tells her she looks great, but the compliment somehow backfires. Her expression changes, and she demands to know if he thinks she looks like a guy too. He insists she doesn't, but she presses him for an answer, frustration bubbling beneath her words. Just then, a group of kids pass by. One of them, Takeru, spots her and looks surprised. Xiao-chen scolds him for skipping practice, clearly annoyed. He snaps back, calling her a tomboy and muttering that he's got better things to do. She fires back, warning him not to say things like that in front of Nozomu. The boy glances over, sizing Nozomu up before scoffing and asking who this chump is. Without missing a beat, she blurts out that he's her boyfriend. Takeru stares at her in disbelief while the girl behind him speaks up, telling him to stop teasing her again. He insists she's lying, someone like her couldn't possibly have a boyfriend. Xiao-chen's jaw tightens. She wants to bolt after him, but the kids quickly scatter, offering half-hearted apologies as they flee. Trying to brush it off, she turns to Ima-chan and says she didn't do anything. Nozomu asks if they're classmates and Su-chan confirms it, adding that everyone's nice except Takeru. They share a laugh, and as they watch Ima in her yukata, Su-chan sighs, saying she's kind of jealous. It really suits her. Nozomu asks if she doesn't have a yukata. Xiao-chan admits she does, but says it would be wasted on her. Curious, he asks why she thinks that. She shrugs, explaining that she looks too much like a boy and are happy, and quietly adds that she wishes she were cuter. He tells her she already looks cute enough, happy or not. She pauses, then he comments without thinking that she'd probably look good in a yukata. He suggests she wear one too. It shouldn't matter whether she thinks she's cute or not. Not if she genuinely wants to wear it. Hearing this, she stops walking. He offers a soft apology, asking if she didn't like what he said. She hesitates, murmuring that he's just weird. He doesn't know how to react to that. Then, out of nowhere, she asks if he actually likes her or something. Caught off guard, he immediately questions how she even reached that conclusion. She explains no boys ever said something like that to her before and warns him not to tease her like that. He remembers how the other kids used to call her a tomboy, and she admits it, says she knows she looks like a boy. But he brushes that off, calling grade school boys idiots. Then she says maybe she will wear a dress to the festival tomorrow if Nozomu really thinks she should. He nods, telling her she should go for it. Later that evening, back in his room, he lies sprawled on his bed, staring at the ceiling. Thoughts of Sao-Chin fill his head. He remembers her saying that it would be wasted on her if she wore a yukata, how casually she dismissed herself. He wonders if she spent her whole life thinking she isn't cute. Her sudden question echoes in his mind, "Do you actually like me or something?" And he scoffs at himself. "There's no way, right?" he mutters, scratching his head, frustrated. Still, something keeps nagging at him. Turning on his side, he stares at the wall, trying to untangle the unease in his chest, thinking there has to be something he can do to alleviate the stress on Su-chan. The next day, they go to watch the performance. Su-chan's outfit catches the boy's attention, and he thinks it seems like Su-chan is taking the boy's chiding words seriously. The boy says that's why she's acting like they're just two guy friends. Nozomu watches her, thinking that maybe, just maybe, if he can show her she's not just a boy, she might stop being so clingy all the time. As he walks up, Sao-chan's eyes light up in surprise. He gives her a nod. "Good job," he says as she quickly asks how the kids did. She mentions they're going to stop by the stalls afterward and runs off to her mom, asking her to help her get ready. Her mom, amused, replies with a tired but fond, "All right, all right." A few minutes later, Sao-chan returns and have dressed in a yukata. Nozomu turns, sees her, and pauses. "See, I knew it. It suits her, he thinks. She really does look good. This feels like the moment, maybe the right time to finally give her a proper compliment." He opens his mouth to speak. But her dad beats him to it with a half-laugh, half-sigh. Amazing what a good outfit can do, even a peasant starts looking noble. The moment is shattered. Nozomu winces at the joke. Sao-chan stares at her dad, visibly thrown off. Her mom chimes in, trying to smooth things over. "Don't pout. Your dad's just being your dad." But Sao-chan just looks confused now. Nozomu tries to ease the tension. "Don't mind him," he says gently, then thinks to himself that maybe her uncle's the reason she ended up like this in the first place. They head out together, walking through the buzz of the summer stalls. At one booth, Su-chan spots a shooting game and pulls him toward it. She grabs the cork gun and glances up at him. Su-chan begins playing the shooting game. She asks Nozomu to hold her properly. He does and then asks if it's okay to get that close. She says it's fine. The shopkeeper agrees, saying it's just fine. Su-chan's shot is off. She replies she missed to him moving her. He denies this, saying that's too much. They go to eat cotton candy. He thinks, as usual, she's sticking close to him. He holds her cotton candy and feeds her before telling her to hold her own. She responds, saying it's fine. He warns her that he's letting go. She pouts, calling him a meanie. They hear an announcement about the fireworks display at Fureo Beach, which will begin at 7 p.m. Nozomu checks the time and says that's in half an hour. Su-chan says she knows a great place to watch them from where there aren't any other people. Nozomu reacts, saying nice, and asks if she wants to start heading there now. She agrees. They make their way up the path, and as they near the top, Nozomu wonders aloud if they can even go in. Sao-chan responds that they're not quite there yet. Eventually, they reach the spot. She announces their arrival, and Nozomu takes in the secluded area, remarking that, of course, no one else would come all the way up here. He notices faint animal tracks in the dirt. She calls him over and he follows. The view is stunning. She agrees with a satisfied stretch before dropping onto the bench beside him, mentioning how tired she is. He admits he can imagine. It really was a lot of climbing. Nozomu feels the weight of the moment. This, he tells himself, is the time to explain things properly, to let her know she's wrong about how she sees herself. He starts hesitantly, trying to gather his courage. Now that the moment's arrived, embarrassment hits in full force. Calling her cute, he adds that she really does look good in a yukata. The surprise in her face is clear. Suddenly, he raises his voice, insisting she ignore everything the boys at school say. He knows he said something similar yesterday and quickly clarifies that it's not because he likes her or anything, just an objective fact. Even as he speaks, he begins to trip over his own words, unsure of what he's saying anymore. She looks at him closely and points out how desperate he sounded, as if trying so hard just to get that out without admitting he liked her. He tries to explain. It's not that she's wrong, it's just that she's misunderstood. She tilts her head and questions whether he's saying she's cute even though he doesn't like her. Hearing it put that way makes him wince. It really does sound bad. She admits she can't tell if he's complimenting her or putting her down. He tries to clarify again. It's not about praise or insults. He tells her it just seemed like those comments were bothering her, so if he wanted to make sure she knew they weren't true. Softly, she tells him she wasn't really bothered by it. He brings up the boys at school calling her a tomboy or gorilla and says that stuff must get to her. She acknowledges that it does sometimes, but ultimately admits she does look boyish, and there's not much she can do about that. Nozomu begins to worry that maybe he hasn't gotten through to her at all. She watches him for a moment, then says she'd noticed he was acting weird today. Was he thinking about all of the whole time? A laugh escapes her. She claims she knows he was lying. He starts to deny it, insisting he meant what he said about her looking good. But she cuts him off, not that part. The part where he claimed he didn't like her. She's convinced that was a total lie. Before he can begin to clear the misunderstanding, they are cut off by the fireworks. The loud explosions make his pleas inaudible, and so he doesn't even bother explaining. Even if Xiao doesn't change her clingy nature, as long as she isn't hurting by others' words, he can live happily. The scene shifts to a memory. It's the first day of summer vacation, and Nozomu is left standing alone near the coast, feeling the sting of a familiar mistake, one just like the kind he had scolded Suchen's classmates for making. His dad, briefcase in hand, offers a quick apology. Work calls, and sometimes he explains that means doing things like this. Nozomu knows the drill, but 3 hours until his aunt and uncle arrive feels like an eternity. He protests, asking what he's supposed to do with all that time by himself. His father catches sight of someone nearby and casually calls out, asking if they'd mind spending some time with Nozomu. Without a moment's pause, the boy agrees. Grateful, Nozomu's dad thanks the stranger for his kindness. Nozomu, however, is mortified. Left behind with someone he doesn't even know, he voices his frustration, but his father is already walking away. The boy, dressed in a swimsuit and clearly at ease in his environment, watches him with amusement. There's a mix of pity and confidence in his voice as he remarks that Nozomu should probably be a little more cautious with strangers. Not that he minds, it's a good day for company, and his own friends hadn't shown up. He asks if Nozomu can swim, and upon hearing that he can, he grins and invites him along. Nozomu confirms he understands the boy's countryside accent, which earns him a nod of approval. They head toward the water, and Nozomu wonders, finally, if all country kids are this forward. Before he can decide, a splash of water hits his face. The boy laughs, delighted by his own antics. Nozomu calls him out, preparing a splash of revenge, only to slip on something slick beneath the surface. A sea cucumber. He tumbles with a splash. It earns more teasing. Apparently, that kind of counterattack is a little dramatic. The boy checks if he's okay, then shrugs it off since Nozomu seems to be in one piece. Curious, he asks where Nozomu's from. Tokyo, comes the answer. The mention sparks excitement. Spending the summer in this area? That's cool. The boy promises to show him how to make the most of it. He brings up diving. Has Nozomu ever tried it? Probably not. He encourages him to give it a try. He'll be fine. Nozomu goes along with it, and soon they're diving and playing in the water. By the time they return to shore, he collapses in the sand, breathless and tired. He wonders aloud how the other boy still has so much energy. The boy grins and jokes that Nozomu's already worn out, but admits he did all right for a city kid. Nozomu notices something strange as he looks over at him, a feeling he can't quite place. There's something about this boy that sticks with him. The moment passes quickly. The boy says his ride should be here soon, so he's got to get ready. He thanks Nozomu for hanging out, and Nozomu nods, genuinely glad for the company. Before leaving, the boy asks if he'll be back. Nozomu says he thinks so. There's another seriousness in the boy's next words. No telling adults about what they did, especially the diving. They'd be furious. He even admits he hadn't told anyone he came here today. Finally, Nozomu's aunt and uncle arrive. They greet him warmly and load his things into the car. As they drive, his uncle chuckles at the situation, finding it hard to believe that Nozomu's dad had just left him like that. Some things, it seems, never change. His aunt apologizes for arriving late and asks if he was bored waiting. Nozomu reflects on the day and the unexpected friendship. He shakes his head and tells them about the boy he met. His aunt responds with a surprise, and the memory he had is still lingering in the back of his mind. He already made a friend. Nozomu wonders to himself, friends are they? He thinks about how much of a whirlwind the experience was. Back at the house, Nozomu settles into the bath, letting the warm water soothe his muscles after the long day. He attempts to swim a little in the tub, more out of habit than purpose, as his thoughts begin to wander. There's no expectation that his mom will come for him, and as for his dad, well, trust isn't something he's extending right now, especially considering he hasn't even made a solid plan to finish his work before vacation ends. He steps out and dries his hair with a towel. Just as he's running it over his head, he hears the front door open. Someone has come home. A familiar voice, light but weary, floats through the hallway. It's Su-chan, muttering about needing a bath. Then the door slides open. Time stops. It's her, the person from the beach. Only now she's wearing regular clothes, and she's definitely a girl. The realization hits him like a bucket of cold water. She stares at him, wide-eyed, and blurts out something about the mister from earlier. Nozomu's brain short-circuits. He scrambles to cover himself, his voice sharp with panic as he tells her to shut the door. They can talk later. Much, much later. Later at dinner, Sue seems not to bother by anything. Her eyes light up, and she exclaims that it's Nozomu-kun. Apparently, 5 years is a long time. She seems thrilled. Nozomu, on the other hand, is drowning in secondhand embarrassment, his face burning. She beams, declaring that with Nozomu around, this summer is going to be the best. Her dad casually chimes, mentioning that she'd really been looking forward to this. Nozomu nods in agreement, his mouth moving before his brain catches up, then freezes. If the kid from earlier was Su-chan, then he's made a huge mistake. Stao-chan's mom brings up what he said earlier about playing with a local boy. She's delighted he made a new friend so quickly. Panic flares again. He absolutely cannot let it slip that he mistook her for a boy. He waves it off, saying it's nothing worth worrying about. Better to just enjoy the summer. She doesn't seem to notice his internal chaos and lights up with a cheerful yes. The moment passes, but he's left standing there like he just survived a natural disaster. It feels like a typhoon just blew through the house, and its name was Su-chan.
Here I am, know it's been a while. I was in denial about my love. Here I stand, I know I walked away.